In this video, we're going to go a little bit deeper into editing the font kerning of the software and adjusting the baseline of letters. So as you can see on the screen here, I have this font open. This is one that I've created, and one of the things that I noticed when I was playing with it is I have this letter A, and this part of the A comes right here on this baseline. And I like that, but notice the B, it's a little bit different. So now it looks like it's a much taller letter. So I want to adjust that, and it's very easy to do. I can select that letter B, right click, and go to Edit Character Baseline. And when I do that, it's going to bring this box up that has a value set to it. Right now it's set at 0, so it's right on this line. So you kind of have to play with it a little bit. But let's just say that I want to go down about, I'll just try 20. So I'm going to hit a negative or a minus sign in 20 and hit OK. And notice that it brought that letter down some, but it wasn't enough, right? So let's go back to edit the baseline. It remembers where I was at. Let's try negative 50. OK, and that looks much better. That looks like it's about at the same spot as the letter A. And so that's just one really easy way to adjust the baseline of a letter. So there's a number of them in here, like this letter G I would want to bring down. This letter H I would want to bring it down so that this part rests right here so it's more consistent with the other letters. I would bring the D down a little bit. I'd bring the E down a little bit. It's just something that you can easily do using that feature of selecting it, right click, go to Edit Character Baseline, and then you just, if you need to go down, you put a minus sign and you just start somewhere, hit minus 10, and minus 10 was actually perfect. So I could come over here to letter E, do the same thing, put a minus 10, OK, and that was about perfect too. So that's a very easy way to adjust along a baseline. Next, let's take a look at the kerning itself. So as discussed in a previous video, if you remember what the font is, you can import the kerning that was set to that true type font when it was created, and that's by clicking this icon right here and then choosing the font that it was that you worked from and then choosing OK, and it will just automatically set it. You don't have to do anything. You don't see it doing anything. It just adds it to it. But let's say you want to get a little bit more in depth with your kerning. This is kind of a high level editing part for a font, which you may or may not use. I don't feel like it's something that a lot of people are going to use, but it's important to know that it's there and what you can do. So I'm going to click on this Edit Font Kerning icon. And when I do, it's going to bring up this window here. And this window, there's a lot going on here. A lot of things you can do. Notice that this is working with font pairings. Okay, so font pairings means whenever there's an A next to an A, you can set a kerning amount. If I scroll down through this, you're going to see that there's not anything set here. But if I would have imported the kerning, it would have brought some of those things in. I don't remember what this font is, unfortunately, so I can't go back in and do it. But what you can do is saying, okay, well, I notice that every time that I put a lowercase a next to this C, these two letters, that the distance just seems a little bit too far. I want to bring it in a little bit. Or even a better example is anytime you're working with like a letter V, like down here in the bottom right, and you have any letter after it. But if you had like this A, you can kind of like bring it in a little bit closer. So what I can do is I can go and find the V and say whenever there's a V next to an A, so I will just scroll down, keep scrolling down, because this is all the options for uppercase letters. Okay, so now I'm getting into lowercase letters. So I'm going to go to where I find the V. And then the lowercase a right here, and I can put in an amount. Like I could say I want it to be minus, double click it, minus 10. And I can put that value in, and so it's automatically going to move the letter over so that it will be closer to the other one. This is something you kind of have to play with, and you're going to have to create the font, take a look at it. You can also create your own pairings. You can clear it all. Like if I hit clear all, you'll notice that that 10 would go away, and everything, all the character combinations would be taken off. Okay, so you can load one if you have a font there, and you can create pairings by clicking that again, and it'll bring everything back up. So it's a little bit more complicated, but you do have the ability to adjust one letter next to another. Like I said, though, with the software, it's pretty easy to adjust yourself the kerning. And what I mean by that is I'll bring up a V and an A with this font, and I'll just show you how you can adjust it yourself really easily. I tend to do it myself, so I'll show you how I handle that. So I'm going to hit this close, and I'm going to come over to a design page here, and I'm going to bring in the font tool. And I'm going to just do a lowercase v and a lowercase a and hit apply. And so how I adjust kerning, I do it myself because every font is different. Let me get back into this text edit mode. If I put my cursor on this blue diamond, now I can adjust that letter A to the left or right. And that's what kerning is bringing it in or pulling it out away from it. So you could spend time going in there and adding all those values to a font you create, but just keep in mind it's really easy to do in the software. Even if I just type in, you know, a word here, you can see that when I drag this one over, it drags all the others with it. So it's really easy and quick to adjust the kerning yourself, and you can get it exactly how you want it in a very short amount of time. But that is how you can utilize this font kerning. These two options right here will help you with that, and then I showed you how to adjust the baseline as well. So I hope that this video was helpful and gets you on your way with editing fonts.